Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We are back again with more Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. It's been a minute since I've gone through patch notes for this game, but 1.4 is massive, so I thought some of you would appreciate a breakdown. We are not going through all the changes, just the ones that either I was really interested in or ones that I thought the community would want to hear about. As always, a link to the full patch notes is listed in the description. Let's start with a call out that Owlcat is already aware of. When going into your inventory, some party members now attempt to hold their weapons backwards, causing very odd stances. This is a known issue that Owlcat is working on. Also, please note that currently the toy box mod that is widely used has not been updated for this new patch. If you are experiencing issues, make sure to uninstall all of your outdated mods and restart the game to see if that fixes the problem. Alright, now let's get into the actual patch notes. I'm going to split this up into different sections and there will be chapters down below. If I get to a section you are not interested in, feel free to skip to the next one. Let's start with Mythic Paths. Avu can no longer equip full plate +5 armor for humanoids. I honestly never even tried to put human armor on her, so I feel like I missed out. Angel's ward against weakness didn't protect from ability drain, but that has now been fixed. The best keeps getting better. Gold Dragon now properly converts D6 to D8 for spell damage calculations. When you reach the 9th mythic level as a Gold Dragon, you gain the passive ability Perfect Mind, which is supposed to convert all spell damage to at least D8, but this was not happening. Now the issue should be fixed. Sticking with Gold Dragon, all of their weapons, including the natural weapons in dragon form, count as +5 weapons now. Finally, Azada's chaotic healing ability now ignores Dampiers in your party, who of course would be harmed by positive energy. Next, let's go through some quality of life fixes. Apparently, some people had trouble in Act 1 finding the Thiefling group you need to discover in the market square, so a quest has been added to lead players to them. This seems rather absurd. If you don't want to explore, you shouldn't play open world RPGs, but I digress. Party members can now be freed from domination using break enchantment or dispel magic. Buffs and negative statuses now pause during cutscenes. Beforehand, you could continue losing health during a cutscene and your character would die as soon as the cutscene finished. Also, buff timers will continue to tick down, causing some players to skip through scenes quickly just to avoid losing precious time. This should no longer be a concern. On a similar note, some cutscenes wouldn't stop playing when they should. The camera would just hang on a scene with nothing happening while you waited to start playing again. This has been fixed as well. Both the inventory and the battle log will work faster now. I never had an issue with the log, but sometimes if you had a lot of items, the inventory will be delayed in coming up. Clerics will stop forgetting domain spells after a level up. I especially found this to be an issue with Sosale, where after every level, random slots would be empty that I had to refill. Glad to hear it's been resolved. Asino, your cleric vendor in Dresden, now sells alchemist kits up to level 6 and scriber kits up to level 9. The Hunter class is now able to interact with the Mystic Theurge class. I know many of you are big MT fans, so hopefully this is welcome news. In Act 4, if you defeated the secret Inevitable Excess DLC boss on Core Higher difficulty, you should be able to open a rift and receive a reward, but this was broken. Now it has been fixed. Speaking of Inevitable Excess, named characters were not showing up on the map in the main city. This has been fixed. You can now turn off negative area of effects after the camp set up in Act 6. Basically, there's a really tough fight before you can make camp in Act 6, and sometimes the effects from the fight would still be ongoing afterwards, causing major issues for your team. Now that's not a problem. Quick note before we go through this monster mechanics section. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate you hitting the like button. This information tells me which content the channel is enjoying and helps my video spread to more people. I really appreciate all of the support. Alright, let's go through some mechanics information. All pets that use gore will get a free trip attack, the same as wolves and dogs. In addition, all animal companions that have horns or tusks will now stop using bite and instead start using gore. So to me, this is a major change because it used to be that wolves and dogs were pretty obviously the best pets because they could automatically do a trip attempt with every attack. Trip attacks can potentially knock enemies prone. Now there are several other animals that can do the same thing, such as the Triceratops. Very interesting. Animal companions will also no longer intermittently run backwards, and their position in the inventory has been fixed. It's good to hear the running backwards part is resolved, but I am not sure what the inventory change is. Owlcat mentions it has something to do with their rotation, but if anybody can clarify this in the comments, I would appreciate it. Speaking of pets, dazzling display can now be used even when you are mounted. Cavalier classes get even better. Enlarged person and reduced person spells now become suppressed when the character is polymorphed. This is a big deal because polymorph is its own buff category, like dodge or enhancement. Therefore, previously you could stack polymorph on top of size buffs to gain massive increases to your attributes. This change would limit that combination, but I'd like to know when I tested this with Nanio, it still works. I changed her to human form and then casted enlarged person on her. Her character sheet shows a stat increase with no signs of suppression, so it's not clear if this change is properly implemented yet. Speaking of fixes that don't quite work, Owlcat says that magical vestment spell bonuses are now given as described. Previously, magical vestments could stack an additional +5 armor enhancement on your character even if they were wearing +5 armor, and I assume that is what Owlcat wants to fix, but as far as I can tell, the spell is now broken. If I take Soseo with a +3 enhancement armor and then cast a spell on him with a caster level of 20, it should at least provide a +2 bonus. Instead, it provides nothing. If I am missing something, let me know, but hopefully by the time the video comes out, this issue is fixed. The spell has also been changed so that it is not stopped by a party member's spell resistance, and that appears to be working. Great update. The Grease spell now works with persistent meta magic, significantly increasing its effectiveness at later levels. Dispelling attack now works correctly according to the description. This is something that I believe has been bugged dating back to Kingmaker. Dispelling attack is supposed to use your class level instead of caster level to attempt to dispel when connecting with sneak attacks, but oftentimes people found it wasn't working and therefore it was worthless. If it's working properly now, that might make WotR even more effective. Winged characters will no longer fall into pits. The Wolf-Scarred Face Oracle Curse now gives you a 10% spell failure chance for all spells. I felt this was worth mentioning because some people use this curse as a 1-level Oracle dip to get the bite attack, which would then stack with other attacks they already have. The Penetrating Strike and Greater Penetrating Strike feats now properly ignore damage reduction, which they were not doing before. Armor of Bones now lasts 1 hour per Oracle level as it originally should have. The Blood Drinker Dampier ability didn't grant more HP as the character gained more hit dice. This has now been fixed, making it much more viable to play as a flat-out vampire. Alright, finally, let's go over a couple of party member changes. After being betrayed and irreparably harmed by a certain Mythic Path, Finian the Talking Weapon couldn't turn into a short bow or an elven curved blade. This has been fixed. In addition, his quarterstaff form didn't have the cold iron effect. This has also been fixed. Lan had a +2 bonus to Constitution that was erroneously added and has now been removed. Finally, and most importantly, Owlcat has added some fire to the romantic scene with Camellia. I have no idea what that means, but looking forward to finding out. That wraps up the full list of the changes that I felt like the community would be really interested in. Like I said before, this isn't even half of the full list of changes, so feel free to hit the link in the description and peruse Owlcat's work. Hope all of you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like, share this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.